what I said. I wasn't sure of how that worked. I've just always been told to put it in like a glass jar and it's like an insulator or whatever. I didn't know if it'd blow it up or what. This is maybe like hearsay.
Well, that's good thinking. I mean, I follow that, and it makes sense as far as it goes. But you may have a couple million volts laying on something there for a split second. Probably not. But what I was telling you is that when you bring coaxial cables down a tower, you should make some arrangement to ground them near the base of the tower and bring them down near Earth ground and do your grounding there, your primary intercept point, and then come on into the building or something. Don't come off the side of the tower 10 or 12 feet off the ground and come over there and come up into your attic and run around up there and then down into your shack, because the potential, even if you ground it to the tower there, the potential of that tower 10 or 12 feet off the ground might be 30,000 volts because of the high current through the tower. It still develops a high voltage at that point. You need to do your grounding down near the ground, and that's the point is to let the current flow to Earth without going through your equipment, through your power supplies back to the power neutral and stuff like that. You want it's like if somebody dropped 300,000 gallons of water on you and you're trying to jam it through a 3-inch pipe. You just want it to go somewhere else.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, I didn't know. I've always heard that and didn't know how true it was, and I didn't know anybody, I guess, educated enough, and I know you know a lot about that, so I always was curious about that because I've heard that for, I don't know, 30 years, I guess. You know, just unplug it, put it in a glass jar just like insulator, and it won't be perfect, but it'll be better than just leaving it in.
Anything's better than leaving in. You got directly conducted for every kind of voltage when it's left in. Definitely take them loose, throw them on the floor, put them in your jar or whatever. That probably protects you for up to 100,000 volts or so. So, yeah, do that. But I was just saying my mother used to make us put shoes on when there come a thunder and lightning storm when we were little. And when I found out a little about electricity and read somewhere about how far lightning jumps and how much voltage there is, I told her, I said, Mama, I don't think having my little shoes on with that little thin plastic soles is going to help me very much, because lightning jumps a long ways, and I bet it could jump over that sole.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. You ever be in a car and wear rubber shoes and you'll be all right. Yeah, you're right.
Well, anyway, unplug and disconnect is the best thing you can do.
A question. About, and what did you say about putting the end of the coax in the mason jar?
Oh, well, I said it could jump out of there. If you have say you have a ground bar or something on the wall behind your equipment where you ground things to, or even if you just got an electrical outlet there, just got it grounded, one side of it neutral's grounded, there's an electrostatic field around that all the time, and when lightning strikes, there's a high voltage electrostatic field that appears at the end of those conductors that could be very high voltage, and those electrostatic fields being near one another, they're opposites, they attract and a spark will jump across maybe if it's high enough voltage, but it would have to be very, very high voltage. So sticking them in the jar like that surrounds them with an insulator that's really good, and it'll keep it from arcing there probably. It'll go arc off the tower, the antenna to something else, and discharge. You break up that path so you don't have a path to ground right there in your shack most of the time.
Yeah, I've got an old insulator. Well, they sell these insulators. They used them years ago on the poles. You know, they used to run down the highway and down the road. I got a blue one and a white one, and those are real thick glass, and that's what I put my cable in.
Nothing wrong with that. That's good. That prevents a secondary arc in the room. I've seen and heard of arcs going across rooms. I know of 3 instances where lightning came in on the power into the house and then arced across a room 8 or 10 feet to get to something like, in one case the power panel was on the south wall of a kitchen. It was about 12 feet or maybe 10 feet interior across to the kitchen sink where the water fixtures were, the spigot up there above the sink, and the lightning bolt literally was seen to arc from the power service across the kitchen and went to ground into the sink. So it can go lots of places around, and that's the same thing I was talking about, electrostatic attraction for high voltage points. So Generally speaking, if you disconnect the stuff from your equipment, unplug your equipment, and make sure it's not still connected to something else, another sneak up, like I said, a computer connection going somewhere, just isolate your equipment, it'll be fine. Good morning, W4GB.
Morning, Joe.
Okay, 4GD.
Morning, Robert. Hey, good morning, Robert. Morning, Joe.
If you can't get here on time, get here as quick as you can. Good morning.
Yeah, and I was in there later than you were last night, Robert. Of course, you did pull a late-nighter.
I sat and listened to y'all sign off, man.
I know, it was about midnight or so.
Yeah.
Robert, you're sounding good. Who's your undertaker?
The Marlboro man.
D.D. Odell, the friendly undertaker.
You don't smoke, do you, Robert?
Yeah, I smoke 3 or 4 packs a day. Till I lost one of my lungs and I cut my smoking in half.
Oh, man.
I hear you coughing.
Hey, did you get my email about the block, walking 2 blocks?
Yeah, that was funny.
What about you, Ronnie?
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I saw about you walking in the mall, and I was going to let you know that I walked 2 blocks in like 3 seconds.
Yeah, that was cool as a moose.
That's kind of corny, but I figured I'd pass along.
Oh, no, I liked it.
I said to Walt said, don't send me that stuff. He ain't into that.
Joe from Kokomo.
Oh, boy, well, I got a lot of SWR here, fellas. At least a quarter of an inch, probably more, of ice on the antenna.
A quarter of inch of swirls, huh?
Yeah, a lot of... Cut the tuner on and it ain't taking care of it, but anyway, 31 degrees. Of course, that ain't gonna melt off at 31, but we're supposed to get a high of 35 today, so maybe some of this will melt off, but the streets and the driveway and sidewalks are just an ice skating rink. Hey, Robert.
Oh, that's crazy, Joe. That's a lot of ice, man. Yeah, Ronnie.
You not hearing me?
I said, yeah, Ronnie.
If he'd have used some of that SWR grease, he wouldn't have that ice. It wouldn't stay on.
There's some of that RF spray or something. 56 degrees in Middle Rica, Georgia, warm and humid today.
It's about us.